Hi there, Chris from TotallyEV, and here I'm doing a dedicated audio review of the BYD Atto 3. If you want a detailed review of the vehicle itself, make sure you check it up on your pop-up banner or follow the links down in the description below or the pinned comments. Now to kick off, I would like to talk about its audio configuration. And as standard, you've got an 8-speaker audio system with actually no means of upgrading it, of course, unless you go via an aftermarket solution. Now here, there are 2 audio drivers positioned within each of the 4 doors, tallying up to 8. And as far as I can tell, there are tweeters and also full range drivers. Now there is no extra information that's been provided by the manufacturer, but if I do get the wattage or driver sizes, I'll make sure I'll pop it down in the description below or indeed in the written review. Now for you to tinker around with the audio drivers, you want to navigate on the infotainment system. And here you will find a multi-band EQ. In my case, I added the direct live at hi-fi room, turned the loudness off, and then customized the EQ by taking 2 notches off 80 Hz, 1 notch off 500 Hz, left 1 kHz untouched, added 1 notch to 5 kHz, and 2 notches to 16 kHz. Of course, these are my own subjective EQ settings, but of course you can copy them if you so wish, or tinker around with them for your own heart's content. Now for you to connect up to the infotainment system, you have got Bluetooth, although the lowest quality SBC codec is supported only, so therefore you'll want to use it sparingly. Thankfully, however, the manufacturer has integrated wireless and wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the latter being preferred if you want the utmost audio fidelity. Moving swiftly on, let's talk about cabin noise. And here the objective measurements that were recorded by us using a sound meter will be on your screen. Now what I'll say subjectively, however, is that both at lower and higher speeds, the Atto 3 is actually really well insulated, and therefore gives you a serene in-cabin experience. It's certainly appreciated in comparison to some of its competitors, and it's very much good to see that the manufacturer has actually thought about this. Now with all that said and done, let's get to an audio demo. I'll be placing the camera and microphone in 4 separate locations and playing back a track. It's by Priya J and it's titled Like Me. So I appreciate an audio demo over YouTube is never ideal, so let me get onto my subjective opinion. Now first off, in terms of the sub-bass tones, they're actually present, although it's no surprise given the fact that there is no dedicated subwoofer that the sub-bass tones are a little bit cut short and therefore can't compete with audio systems that do have that dedicated subwoofer system. With that said, the overall mid-bass impact is actually pretty hearty, both at the front and rear of the cabin. Had no complaints whatsoever when it came to the overall quantity. However, the same couldn't be quite said about the quality, and I think this is not only just due to the audio drivers, but also due to the somewhat nonsensical use of these guitar strings that are positioned within each of the 4 doors. I'd go as far as saying that I would cut them if I really wanted the utmost audio quality. And that's because when you listen to lots of bass-orientated tracks at louder volumes, you'll find that there's a little bit of a rattle. And in fact, that is actually coming from those little guitar strings that the manufacturer has placed within the Atto 3. I do think it's a little bit of an oversight by the manufacturer. Now, as for the overall mid-range, it is actually a little bit pushed back and recessed. Not too much so that you're not going to enjoy your male or female vocals, but it's just worth considering if you're comparing and contrasting with more premium audio systems out there on the market, it's not going to come to the foreground, and therefore means that it just feels a little bit veiled. Now it's worth considering here that you can EQ it via the infotainment system, and it's great to see a multi-band EQ. However, in this case, if you're going to be adjusting quite a few notches to the mid-range EQ, it's going to take away from the overall accuracy and will give you a little bit more of an artificial reproduction. So I'd therefore suggest against it. But of course, your hearing range might be different from mine, so feel free to play around with it with your own heart's content. Now, as for the highs, however, they extend very well at the front and rear of the cabin, and that is due to the fact that you've got those dedicated tweeters. They do a phenomenal job at the top end and give you that sort of toe tapping feeling. They can sound a little bit harsh and sibilant at the top end if you're going to be really ramping up that EQ and playing at louder volumes, but in my case, using my settings and listening at a relatively normal level, I had no sort of problems. As for its overall soundstage, the 8 speakers that are positioned within the cabin actually do a decent job, and therefore gives you good sort of instrument separation. However, the overall width and depth could have been improved with the addition of a center audio driver or speakers that were positioned within the rear parcel shelf. This would have really elevated the overall experience and given you a little bit more of that extra bit of engagement. Now, while I'm being a little bit critical in this department, it is still worth mentioning that you are still getting a fantastic 8-speaker audio system that comes fitted as standard across the entire trim range. And as a result, it still gets our Audio Approved award. It would have been getting our Performance award if it wasn't for that little bit of rattle that can be heard when it comes to the mid-bass tones, and of course if it had those extra audio drivers positioned within the cabin. Then if it had a little bit of an extra bit of quality, it would have potentially got our Audio Excellence award, competing with some of the very best audio systems out there on the market. Now, we'd be curious to know what you make of the BYD Atto 3's audio system down in the comment section below, and how you feel it compares with some of its key competitors. Now, if you have enjoyed this detailed independent review, definitely do consider dropping a like, subscribing and hitting that bell notification, all of which would be greatly appreciated. As such, I've been Chris from TotallyEV, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.